the door, and everybody's welcome to attend. I guess, how do we, Kathy, do we have a list, or how do we?
The forms are right there in front of you, right?
And this one.
Oh.
Here's one.
Okay.
Just tell them that.
You'd want to go down the list?
Yeah,
I
so
had 2 titles.
I have questions. I asked, are there Muslims being included in the 300 refugees that are planned to relocate in Twin Falls? Numerous Islamic scholars have declared it is every Muslim's duty to dominate or exterminate infidels. What they say and write is what they intend on doing. Wake up and read and listen. Remember the Trojan horse. Paul Revere rallied the patriots riding through the colonies shouting, "The British are coming." You also read that he said it was irregular. I wasn't there, I don't know what he said. But he was warning the colonists about the British. James Madison, known as the father of our Constitution, stated, "We have taken the whole of our political institutions upon the capacity of mankind for self-government, upon the capacity of each and every one of us to govern ourselves according to the 10 Commandments of God." Patrick Henry said, "It cannot be emphasized too strongly or too often that this great nation was founded not by religionists but by Christians, not on religion but the gospel of Jesus Christ. Since 1777, every session of Congress has begun with prayer. The first Supreme Court Justice, John Jay, said, Americans should select and prefer Christians as their rulers. The Bible says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. That reference is to God, the Creator, who sent His Son, Jesus Christ, to be the Savior of all that will accept His plan of salvation. I say, know your enemy. I ask, what is a Muslim? Is a Muslim a Muslim? Beware of delusion. Former President Bush stated that Muslims are a peaceful people. Do not burn the Quran. You need to read the Quran. Cover to cover. If Muslims are people of the book, the Quran, are Muslims a peaceful people, or are they our avowed enemy? Read the
Congressman Mike Simpson. They told me to get a hold of Representative Steve Hartkin. Representative Steve Hartkin said on Facebook he contacted Lawrence Wazen, our Attorney General, and he said immigration is a federal issue. We're not here to discuss immigration, we're here to discuss the refugee program. And I did speak to a legal expert. You have a contract, a subcontract with a religious charity to run the refugee program. You have the exclusive jurisdiction to continue this contract or rescind it. But I'm here today to urge you to support an item on the CSI Board agenda to have a public hearing on the CSI Refugee Center. As you know, you can't take action unless it's on your agenda and it's been advertised to the public for so many days. As a small businessman, I feel that the College of Southern Idaho Refugee Center has become both a financial burden for the taxpayer and a public affairs problem for the college. The impact to have the College of Southern Idaho keep running this program will be both disastrous to the fine reputation that College of Southern Idaho has in the community. The founders of this community never intended it to become a refugee center. They intended it to become a center for teaching excellence to children, young adults and children. It is also going to be very dangerous to the health and safety of our citizens. A public hearing would give both the board and the community a chance to address this issue. For these reasons, I respectfully urge you to work and support to get an agenda item on your July meeting to hold a public hearing on the College of Southern Idaho Refugee Center. I would be interested in hearing the views on this subject from Dr. Scholes and Dr. Stone and ma'am, I apologize. I would like to hear your opinion. We've heard Mr. Keegan's and the trustee chairman Kleinkoff. They support it, but I haven't heard the other ones. But in closing, thank you for taking.
30 seconds.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. But in closing, Thank you for taking a moment to review my ideas, and I appreciate other ideas as we're going to hear tonight and suggestions as we strive together to phase out the college's involvement in the refugee program over the next 6 months. Thank you. I am Rick Martin from Twin Falls County. Thank you.
Tana?
I don't really have anything written. As an educator, I see the asset that the refugee program is. I've worked with the children and their families. They have a zest for learning that I wish more Idahoans had, and perhaps we wouldn't be 48. I appreciate diversity, and I think our community is better off to have this diversity, as we can learn so much. It's religious tolerance, and to all of a sudden just cut this off because we don't understand, I think that that would be a sad thing for our community, and it would be quite a loss.
Thank you. Christine Riker.
I don't think it'll be more than 3 minutes. My name is Christine Riker, and I live in Twin Falls County. While living in another state, I worked for the Public Health Department for many years, and I have dear friends who are in the refugee group. The CSI refugee program is presented as a humanitarian effort. If this were true, it would be resettling persecuted individuals from Muslim countries, Christians and other religious minorities who are being slaughtered, not Muslims. The CIA and FBI have estimated up to 20% of the Muslims in the United States will seek to overthrow our government. In Islam, religion and the state are one under Sharia law. There is no equality or freedom, as the word itself means submission. Everyone must convert to Islam or be put to death. That's Surah 2:193 from the Quran. The only sure way to go to paradise is to carry out jihad. That's Surah 61, 10, 11, and 12 in the Quran. There is soft jihad and hard jihad. Islam mounted hard jihad against the Western civilization in 622 AD, in 711 AD, in 1080 AD, and in 1880 AD with invading armies which were all repulsed. In 1993, a soft jihad was initiated against the West by placing large populations in Western countries while keeping attention focused on terrorist armies rather than on the invasion by civilian population. But the goal is the same, jihad. Billions in the B of our tax dollars are being funneled to the Muslim Brotherhood through Malik Obama, the president's half-brother. Resettling Muslims throughout the United States is a small piece in the larger scheme. Please discontinue the ill-advised refugee program of resettling Muslims, not refugees, but Muslims in this country. Thank you. Amen.
My name's Jill, and I am here because I'm quite disturbed what's happening in this community. I'm deeply upset and taking this matter most personally because the person who replaced me on the radio is the one who's inciting all of this hate and riling everything up, and I don't think is here tonight, which doesn't bode well for him. I feel like he thinks this is a game, he's doing this to stir up things, and he enjoys that. This is not entertainment, these are people's lives. According to the director of the refugee center, Zay said 300 Syrians were coming to the U.S. They weren't coming to Twin Falls, they were coming throughout the U.S. And even if they did come to Twin Falls, so what? This is how 6 million Jews were killed. I'm Jewish. This is disturbing to me because this is what a Holocaust is going to look like. Muslims are not the enemy, there is a religion, and whose religion is next? Is it going to be Mormonism, Buddhism? Whose religion are you going to attack next because you're not aware, you have no knowledge of it, and it's creating hate and fear in this community where there shouldn't be. For CSI to fall to this bigotry and racism would be a black eye on this university and should not happen and should not bend to the whim of what people are saying and the things on the internet about President Obama. And I mean, this is outrageous. So please, look at the facts. These people have been in our community for years. One was a former vice president of this college. Refugees do well. They work hard, they study hard, they learn hard, they integrate. And if any of us were in their conditions, we would want a country to take us. Some countries didn't take the Jews, and they were sent back and were killed. We were founded on immigrants. We were founded as a country of racial, because of religious persecution, and we should not be persecuting other religions. This is small-mindedness, bigotry, and it would make me ashamed that our community here are turning their backs on the refugees. Rotary is sponsoring Refugee Day. I'm proud to be a Rotarian, and I'm proud to go there to celebrate their heritage, and it's their way to thanking our community for everything we've done to them. So, and if you're worried about the billions of dollars we're spending on these people, they pay their plane tickets back. Worry about the trillions of dollars we spent in Iraq building schools and buildings and whatever that has been wasted. So for us to save some people from being killed, I'm all for it, and really am ashamed that our community would want to condemn this program. Thank you.
First of all, I have to say that I'm quite appalled by what was just said. Bill, what's his name, the radio guy, he didn't start this. If anybody started it, I did, because I wrote refugees as a weapons system. And why did I do that? I did that because the Muslims have declared global jihad on Western civilization. And over in Iraq, with what our military has been doing is taking out government after government to build a free trade area, Middle East free trade area, Mecca, Mina. And in doing that, they have unleashed the forces of Islam, who intend to rebuild the Ottoman Empire. Okay? And that's what's going on. And so as our government, USAID, is over there, they are taking governments down, and the people over there that are helping to take down their own governments are the people that are being brought over here as refugees. So that's what the deal is on that. All right, now here's my statement. When the people of Idaho built this school, they did it to serve Idaho students. I think we can say with absolute certainty that they did not build it so that you could turn it into your own little Ellis Island. It's taken years to figure out the legal constructs that have enabled people to violate the sovereignty of the territory of Idaho and our nation. But we have figured it out, and we know that the tax increment financing district that was created for economic development has been expanded to be an inland port with inland port authority, county-based port authority under international law and admiralty law specifically. This strategy has been implemented in the United States over many decades. The ultimate objective is the takedown of the United States, replacing our government structures defined in law with international regionalism and with government structures created by contract and association. I don't have time to explain the whole strategy, but I do have it. I've done the research. What I do have time is to give public notice that treason has been committed against the people of Idaho and the United States. And this is my public notice, fulfillment of my obligation as a citizen under Title 18, U.S. Code 2382.
Excuse me, you have 30 seconds.
The question you need to decide is if you want to continue aiding and abetting in this treason against the people of Idaho, because Judgment Day is coming, and it's coming soon, and it's up to you.
Thank you. Carol Taylor.
Esteemed board, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why I'm up here. Well, yes, I do. I read the paper last week, and Rick Martin had some interesting information in the paper about the refugees program, and I got very upset. I don't know a lot about it. So I went on the internet and I got to reading about all the refugee programs. And when I see figures that tell me that there are, 190 different cities across the United States that have refugee centers. I see that Tennessee, Maryland, Georgia all want to get out of the refugee program, excuse me, and they can't get out. That should be a cause for concern. I am a Christian. I don't think Muslims believe the same as Christians. And when I hear them killing other people, and you see on the news, you hear the news as well as I do. Texas, Michigan, they want Sharia law. We don't want Sharia law in our United States. That's not what our country was formed for. We are free to pick and choose our religion. Muslim is not a religion. Thank you for your time.
Harry Turner.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Trustees, I know all of you, some better and longer than others. I'm a lawyer, for the record. I was received a call. I know very little about and was paid very little attention to the refugee program until the last 2 or 3 months. Last spring, I received a call about a couple who had entered this refugee program in Twin Falls. As a result of the fact that they were Jewish, I believe the male was Jewish, the female was had adopted the Jewish religion. They're from Iran. He had been somewhat of an activist opposed to the Iranian government. He had spent, I think, 4 years in jail. Was released when they discovered he was Jewish. He spent another 3 years in jail. By network, he was allowed, he got out of Iran to Pakistan. His wife followed shortly thereafter. By virtue of that fact, they arrived, the refugee program, they arrived in Twin Falls. That, they'd been here 2 months. The guy spoke English roughly. The gal spoke none. She is now being taught by private teachers being paid by the Jewish settlement out of Haley. The reason that I became interested is that the call I received was caused by the fact that this Jewish couple was being harassed as a result of Muslims in the refugee program here. ZZ, who I think is very sharp and I respect, even verified this, that when they came, they were placed in a 4-unit...
Excuse me, Harry, you have 30 seconds.
Well, this is not long enough, and I certainly support a public hearing. But these people were persecuted, not persecuted, they were harassed under our Constitution. This country was based on freedom of religion, not to bring your religion over here so you could persecute it.
Thank you, Aaron. Lawrence Underwood.
Hi, my name is Lawrence Underwood, and I'm from Filer, and I've got some serious concerns about the refugee program. I don't have any problem helping people that are persecuted in their own countries and come here. However, when you bring in refugees from Somalia and Syria and other countries that have no really effective government, there's no way to verify who they are, whether they're actually persecuted refugees or whether they're terrorists. And last week, I saw 2 Somalis in Filer, and they were both military age and military fitness. And the one I saw when I went to the post office, and because it's such a small space, I overheard him talking to his girlfriend, and he was saying some very derogatory things about the people in this country. And when you take those things together, that you can't verify who they are, and their military age and military fitness, and they've got a bad attitude about Americans, it just makes it way too dangerous. And there are just too many schools here, there are too many churches here, and there are too many shopping centers here that have been targets in other places in the country. And I just don't want to see terrorists being brought in that could attack those places and cause hundreds of deaths. And I know that your consciences would bother you if because of the refugee program, something like that happened and hundreds of people were killed. So that's the concern that I have.
President Fox, members of the board, I want to encourage you to continue the work you and the college do in support of the Refugee Center. As a resident of Twin Falls for the past 9 years, it has been my privilege to interact with members of the refugee community. Several years ago, members of a Burundian church sang in our worship service. I've had tea with a local imam who is a refugee from Chechnya. Our church custodian came to this country from Bosnia, and because of my church's downtown location, refugees occasionally drop in for a worship service or simply to talk to me in my role as pastor. I believe that the Refugee Center is an asset in the Magic Valley and one of the many gems that makes this a great town. And so I want to encourage you to consider that those who would have the Refugee Center closed are speaking out of fear and ignorance. Mr. Bill Colley is doing a disservice to this community by rallying people with his calls of anger and Islamophobia. As trustees for an institution of higher learning, you know the value of diversity, and that includes listening to the voices of dissent, but not giving in to their demands. You and I both know that the nearly 2,500 people who have been relocated to Twin Falls over the last 35 years through the Refugee Center have contributed to making the Magic Valley a special place to live and raise a family. Whether those refugees have stayed in this community or have moved on to other places across the country, their time in the Magic Valley was their first step towards a new life of freedom from fear that they experienced in their country of origin. I appreciate that you have the best interests of both the College of Southern Idaho and the community of Twin Falls in mind as you go about your work. I want you to know that I believe the Refugee Center is an awesome opportunity for this community to share what we love about living in this great land with people from the four corners of the globe. Please keep up the good work. That includes vigorously supporting the work of the CSI Refugee Center.
Thank you. Bert Golay.
Well, I know most all you guys on the board. I've been here all my life. I don't very seldom talk to anybody here, but when I do, I think things can happen. I read your mission statement of CSI just recently, today in fact. I have it right here. And my talk is going to be about CSI, not refugees. Your direction is to educate the students of our community, not being in the business as a refugee center. This was your mission statement. It might have changed. You might have done a few other things different, but that's what it's about. This could be a very big turning point in CSI's direction and future. Your decision. The college has been a joy, listen to this, it has been a joy and a pride of our community for many years, many, many years. There's not a person in this room that hasn't taken pride in this college and the grounds and the people taught here and some of the students that came here. Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. It's important for them little ones coming up all the way. It's so important. You can listen to everybody talk that's came here. I was born here. I've seen it come and go. I've supported this college, and I think the college is important. Now, the taxpayers are the one who pay most of the bills at this college from the beginning to today. And our share is getting bigger and bigger because as the college grows, guess what? So does our taxes. And I do never once complain about my taxes going to this college or any educational purpose. Oh, I'll complain. Trust me, I complain a lot. And if any of you people know me, I'm kind of a butthead if you really want to know the truth. But that's I am. The CSI board should not be the ones to change the direction of our college. Not at all. Take it to the taxpayers for their decision in a vote in November. Not 7 people on this board. 5 people on this board. I know all of you really well. And needless to say, probably really think a lot of all of you, even though we got a little difference of opinion, but that's okay. Now I want to close my statement on something that I said to the legislature many years ago when I went to a big board meeting and I made this statement.
Bert, you have 30 seconds.
30 seconds, quick. Everybody in this room has grown roses, has rose gardens, has flowers, especially roses. Do you know what happens when you prune roses and you get rid of the bad growth? It blooms better. That's what will happen when you prune this organization from your rose bush. Thank you very much.
Deborah Silver.
Hi, I'm Deborah Silver, and I'm a certified public accountant and a lifelong resident of the Magic Valley. And today I'm here to express my support for the College of Southern Idaho's Refugee Center. I'm proud to be a member of a community that reaches out to people who are fleeing persecution because of race, religion, nationality, social group, or political opinion. And by welcoming refugees, our community reflects all that is good about our country. And I'm going to insert a personal thing here. My brother served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I will tell you, he was in special forces, and part of their job is to go in and talk to the locals. And most of those people are Muslim. And he thinks about this because the people who he talked to and persuaded to help him, when we pulled out, they're there alone. And they are threatened. And this program is exactly the kind of thing that saves the lives of people who helped him. We may not officially be in Syria, but trust me. I understand there are over 2 million refugees there, and we've only cleared, the United States has only cleared 600 so far. So I believe that we are following and being very careful because we all love this country. I want to thank CSI for providing the infrastructure necessary for this program that has worked successfully and quietly in our community since 1980. And our community has benefited from this program, of course, because there's some federal money attached, and as an accountant, I think about that, but also by enriching our community by adding citizens who truly appreciate our American values. We have recently formed a group which intends to actively support the College of Southern Idaho's Refugee Center. We've met with staff, and we intend to continue to reach out in the Magic Valley area and promote accurate information in the community. And our community includes several faith leaders in the area, business people, and other concerned citizens. I'm looking forward to participating in CSI's Refugee Day this Friday. And I want to thank you so much for providing this for our community. Thank you.
Ruth Hoff.
there's so much to say, and 3 minutes is not going to cover it. But to address some of the things that were publicly mentioned in the newspaper, I think I'll go down that road. For instance, with the Syrian refugees and the trauma experiencing today, they've been in conflict for 100 years. Muslims against Muslims for 100 years. Okay, so now all of a sudden, big urgency, let's get them out of their countries. I'm just addressing that because it was, in the newspaper. And for the record, I don't listen to a local radio host, and I find it slanderous to actually imply negative character about people publicly. So the local people have been rallied to this, which is great, freedom of speech, I appreciate that. But I was saddened to see that our elected officials stepped up. And where you have a husband and a wife living together for 15 minutes, you're going to have a differing opinion. Apparently, we have 4 elected officials that have exactly the same opinion. I find that disturbing. I won't try to speculate why that might be. But let us go on. I have handed out a report that was published in 2013, and that covers a lot of issues that this group of people, at least on the conservative side, have. Those issues include the fact, according to Mr. Hartgen in this newspaper, it was a U.S. constitutional issue. According to the paper that I handed out to you, it's actually up to the local governments because the federal government has chosen not to appropriate enough money to pay for the program. So there we have 2 differing opinions, and in all the research that I've tried to do, I can't find any.
Mr. Chairman, member of the Board of Trustees, my name is Maureen Osborne. I've lived in the same home since 1960, where I've raised my family. It just so happens that my home that I felt safe in all of these years is now 2 blocks away from the new mosque that's being built. The new mosque, which will accommodate between 40 and 75 people, according to the city. And there's no parking on Addison Avenue. So where are the people going to park? My home value, once that mosque is built, is going to drop. I've kept that property thinking that the more cars go by on Addison, those cars had dollar signs on them. Come to find out, my property value will drop. Do we understand, and do they understand, that we have laws in this land? We have city laws, county laws, state laws, and U.S. government laws. Do they understand that once they get here, they need to follow those laws? Because here in this country, men are not allowed to have between 4 and 5 wives, and giving birth to 13 children per each wife. We don't do that here. Do they understand that? Are they going to follow our laws or Sharia laws? And I had a family member that died recently who was gay. And if she had lived under Sharia law, she would have been shot. I think we need to think this over. Under Sharia law, when a woman turns 40, she is no longer of any value. She can no longer bear children.
Maureen, you have 30 seconds.
Well, I think I've said pretty much. But under Sharia law, women don't have rights. If you think they do, think again. I live on the same street as the mosque is going to be built on. That's my neighborhood. That's me they're going to be messing with. And I'm not going to like it, not one bit. And I'm going to do everything I can do to fight it. Thank you.
Bonita Hepworth.
Hi, I'm Bonita Hepworth, and I didn't even know about this meeting until I had 4 or 5 friends call and ask me about it. And they could not be here because of 4 o'clock. They're working, taxpaying more. And they would like to have a meeting scheduled so they can attend anytime after 4 o'clock or after 6 o'clock. Okay, I am a German. All my grandparents came from Germany because they were persecuted from Russia. So I'm certainly not against CSI and the refugee program. I don't know that much about it. But the one thing that I am concerned about is this world has changed drastically, and particularly since 9/11. And I think it's no longer what it was when my grandparents came in as immigrants. And I think that if CSI should look at this and be very cautious, because things have changed, and we've got to be aware of that. Thank you.
Terry Edwards, please.
Hello, President Fox and board members. I'm Leroy Hayes. I've lived in Twin Falls since 1982, and I'm a 4th generation Idahoan. I don't know if that gives me any credence, but I've lived here my whole life, and so has my father and my grandfather before that too. And I'm very pleased of the Refugee Center. When we moved to Twin Falls in 1982, it's about when the Refugee Center started. It's been a big part of our community for 35 years. As Phil Price said, we've saved thousands of people who fled persecution from various countries, and the Refugee Center has done a good job. I see no reason why we can't continue to support the center with the way it is going. I'm really looking forward to the Friday night cultural event here on the campus where we can meet people that have come from the Refugee Center, learn to enjoy the food that they cook, learn more about their societies. I think it'd be a real learning experience if we had more people there. Thank you.
Erica Wilson.
My name is Erica Wilsey. I guess many of you would consider me a newbie since I've only been in Twin Falls about 10 years. I would like to take this to a personal level and just share a couple experiences with you. I am in wonderful support of the Refugee Center. I was very happy when I moved here to hear about it. When I was a 1st grader, my family took on a Laotian family that came and lived with us, and that was one of the most defining moments in my life. I learned a great deal about caring for others and understanding the suffering that other people have gone through and what they have to do to survive. And I will always cherish that experience, and that my children get to grow up knowing other people who can share those kind of experiences with them. I feel very lucky that they will get to experience that. My next experience I'd like to share with you is about a couple of years ago, I got to go to the Middle East, and I visited Israel and Jordan. And as I listened to all of these comments about Islam and how they want to kill us and chop our heads off, I am greatly saddened because the Islamic people that I got to meet and interact with when I was over there is not what these jihadists are about. They are loving, wonderful people. They care about their families and put their families first, that believe their wives are wonderful and want to protect and love them. And I am just saddened by the hatred and the fear. I believe it's fear of the unknown and the ignorance that is being expressed. And I hope through education and open hearts that many of you will come to understand why we are supporting this refugee center so much. And as a Christian, I would like to end with a quote from John 4:18 that says, "Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love." Thank you.
We've reached the end of the list, so as the board, or speaker for the board, I'd say we appreciate everybody's comments tonight. We will carry on with the rest of our meetings, so this is an opportunity if you want to leave at this time.